All right. So, good morning, everyone, and welcome back again. And hope you all had a great festive week and have enjoyed your time with your friends and families. And again, thanks Kishore, Upalika, Roshan, Rahul, and other group leaders for getting this organized and helping others as well to take advantage from these sessions, right? And all right, with that, I think we can get started. So today we'll be discussing about an extremely powerful tool from the Omni Studio Toolkit perspective, that is OmniScript, and this will give us the dynamic guided flows experience, right? And this would also be coming soon, as I was discussing earlier, right? This would be also coming soon to the mainstream Salesforce core package as well down the line, and would be used as a similar manner as any other developer tools like Flows, Process Builder, or Workflows, or Apex are getting used. So before that, I think what we can do before we do a deep down over these, right? Let's quickly introduce ourselves. So followed by that, we'll have disclaimer and the quick recap of the previous sessions. So I have with me my friends Rahul and Taranveer as well. So I'll quickly introduce myself. So I'm Praveen Singh. I have overall 11 years of experience in IT and primarily worked on digital transformation for large healthcare engagements, and that too by leveraging the Salesforce and Velocity Cloud solutions. From credentials perspective, I'm both Salesforce and Velocity architect, and also Velocity Advanced VIP master member. So yeah, that's all about me. Rahul, over to you.
Thank you, Praveen. So I'll keep it short. I am myself Rahul. I have been working as a Salesforce and a Velocity certified developer for a global MNC firm, and I am leading one of the Salesforce developer group at Bhubaneswar. So yeah, this is all about myself. Passing you to Taranveer. Thank you.
Hey, thanks a lot. I hope I'm audible.
You
Yes.
are the
Okay, thank you so much for the cue. So extending a very warm welcome to all of you, first of all. Thank you so much for taking out the time on a Saturday. I am Taranveer Singh, and I have been in the industry for a couple of years now. I've worked on Velocity large-scale implementations in industries of telecommunication, media, health, and insurance. Currently working on the health and insurance package within Salesforce Industries. And yeah, happy to be here and to walk you through this session on OmniScripts today. First of all, let me quickly go back to the agenda and step back a little bit to show where we are currently. So we in the first session we did cover about the Omni Studio, the platform, and then we went on to the platform tools. We explained you about text cards, the architecture of data raptors, how they can be used without any code to build very powerful applications. And then our third session today, which is going to be entirely based upon the Omni scripts. So I know a lot of you must have already heard about this name OmniScripts because it's one of the core tools which are offered within the Omni Studio package. So we are going to cover this in depth and then take you through a couple of use cases in the demo also. Okay. Before we get started, just want to give you a quick disclaimer. So this presentation will completely contain opinions which are corroborated by us. We are all professionals who are working in the Salesforce and Velocity ecosystem for a couple of years now. So these opinions are going to be based upon our learnings from work and from course perspective. Also, Salesforce Industries is now basically known as Velocity also, and Velocity is an integrated part of Salesforce. So we will be using the words Salesforce Industries or Velocity interchangeably throughout the session. This content that we have created has a lot of direct and indirect references from the Salesforce and Salesforce Industries resources. So we have tried to give the references wherever and wherever we have leveraged those resources, and we are in no way going to endorse or emancipate any knowledge pertaining to the commercial aspects. So all purchasing decisions are going to be exclusive of this presentation. And then yeah, I mean, all of these, the opinions that we present today are going to be our personal opinions. So if you have any questions, etc., you can always reach out to us, but they are in no way going to be linked to the Salesforce Industries documentation or something that they advocate. Okay, coming to the recap now. So I already explained to you that we have discussed about the flex cards, the various elements, what kind of data sources can we configure within flex cards, what are the styling considerations, what kind of stylings can you add in a flex card. And in a demo also last time, we built a very strong and a powerful flex card for all of you, wherein data was being fetched from a weather API. Next, we did discuss about data raptors, wherein Rahul took you through about the different types of data raptors available within the package, and then how a data raptor or an integration procedure can be a source for flex cards. So today's session is going to be based entirely upon OmniScripts, which is a part of the digital experience layer, a layer which is user exposed. So something that you see as a guided process, something that you see as a step-by-step tool, that walks you through a couple of processes is something which OmniScript has a capability of doing. Moving on. So first of all, what are these OmniScripts? What do I mean by guided user interfaces? Now, a lot of times when you build industry applications, there are demands that the CRM tool should have a flow that walks the customer, handholds the customer through various processes. Let's say it's as simple as let's say creating a lead or creating an opportunity. Now, a lot of data has to be entered on the front end and then has to go back and get stored on the back end. There are a couple of messages, validations that you need to show, a form that you need to expose, a couple of emails that you need to shoot out through the process. All of this can be configured using OmniScripts. So why OmniScripts? I mean, what was the need to bring in OmniScripts? So first of all, it is less code. A lot of times to build such applications, it can take weeks and months to build a powerful form, that can help a customer fill in all these details and walk through a process. But with the help of OmniScript, you can just do it within a couple of minutes or couple of hours even. And then complex data entry is another part. A lot of times, different fields have to be mapped on the front end. The data that you enter has to go and get stored on that Salesforce database. There has to be client-side architecture built, a lot of integrations that have to be done. All this is possible within the OmniScript bundle. And then a lot of times what happens is sometimes, let's say you move from one step to the other in a process and you want the data to be transformed or you want the data to be integrated. And a simple example could be, let's say you are filling up, you're doing a payment, okay, and you've just entered some details. And when you're moving to the payment page, you want to see your personal details there so that there could be a confirmation, a visual agreement that you are in agreement with all those fields that you have entered. For example, your date of birth, your payment mode, your address, so that you don't have to enter it again. And all of us are very well exposed to these processes while we purchase things on e-commerce websites. We do a lot of things, right? And then this is just one persona that I'm talking about, the user persona. There are a lot of other personas like the broker persona or a customer center persona. All these can be actually configured within OmniScript. And then one of the most powerful features is that you have granular control over the UI. A pre-built UI is already offered to you. You don't have to code even a single line to create that UI. Moving on to the next slide, which talks to you about the 360 view. So OmniScripts are essentially one of the core parts within this package. They are basically lightning flows that enable you to create code-free, dynamic, and responsive forms in flows. You can easily publish these. You can integrate with external web services, and there is there is an option of dragging and dropping about 50 reusable components from the build panel into the OmniScript interfaces. Now these can be created and modified with the help of a lot of logic also. Now a lot of times we get this question that, hey, sometimes we want to show a screen to a user, sometimes we don't want to show it to a specific user. How do you manage that in an OmniScript? It's easy to do it with code, but in OmniScripts, all these elements that you drag and drop have a conditional view wherein you can add a condition. Let's say that if customer's address is equal to Bangalore, only then show him this page, or only then show the screen to him. So that all that logic, all that formulas are already a part of OmniScript, and you can easily configure them and create immersive experiences. Now on the first part you see, we can so on the first part you see, we can summarize contextual information at a glance. which is best for self-registration interaction, add and update records. So OmniScripts offer you that capability wherein you can show like a summary. A lot of times when you complete a process, let's say you purchased something from Amazon, or you purchased something from other e-commerce websites. On the last page, you will see that summary right before you move ahead with your payment. So that's something that OmniScript also offers to you. You can create a screen just for the summary and then show it to all your users when they complete that flow, so that they can go ahead with payment, they can go ahead with fulfillment, etc., anything that you want to do. On the next, and OmniScripts have been a part of the Velocity package from the beginning. Now, as Salesforce has basically integrated, all these things in Omni Studio as a package, it is offered to all Salesforce ecosystem users. Now, a lot of times, these OmniScripts are the beginning and endpoint of a complex flow. If you look at all velocity first implementations, they have these core flows, lead to order, order to fulfillment, code to lead. All these can be created using OmniScripts. Then one more, one very powerful fact about OmniScript is that it can be viewable on any device or channel. So as I told you that the UI is out of the box, you don't have to code the UI. At the same time, I would also mention that earlier it was basically Angular templates which were used, but now with the evolution of UI to LWC, it can be very easy for you to build LWC components and use them within OmniScripts. You can pass your data from your OmniScript to an LWC component or vice versa. And similarly with Angular templates, also you can do the same thing. You have the flexibility to pull data from various sources. It could be an Apex class, it could be a data raptor, it could be an IP. For all our developers who like to code and who feel that, hey, I want to build this logic in Apex, this is something which could work. OmniScript does support that. You can invoke an OmniScript from Apex, and then also you can have an Apex class embedded within an OmniScript. So let's say that you have gathered some user information and now you want to proceed to some complex logic, but you want it to be handled with an Apex. That's where you can invoke your Apex class and you can embed it within your OmniScript. So again, I mean, just before I conclude this 360 view, I want to tell you that it's a drag and drop interface. You can add a lot of data sources, integrations. It supports your Apex, and then UI is something that you get pre-built. You can always customize it. You can add whatever custom LWC components that you want within your OmniScript, and then publish it wherever you want. That's the core, and that's the level of flexibility that OmniScripts offer. Now, I've already discussed about OmniScripts, but a lot of times we get this question with lightning flows coming in. Hey, what are the differences between OmniScripts and lightning flows? So the difference is basically with the kind of approach that OmniScripts are built with. So they are a UI first approach. The intent is to bring that guided process, to build that to give you that capability to build a guided flow for the users. And whereas lightning flow is a process first approach, so something which looks at a process and wants to kind of build that in various steps and then conditionally invoke specific components. But whereas OmniScript is something which gives you a screen, so there is one screen, two screen, three screens, all of them embedded in one flow is what OmniScripts offer. Now, support for custom CSS is again it's a very unique quality in OmniScripts, because in most of our transformations, we see that styling and then embedding a custom logo, the color scheme is something that is usually the requirement from the client, right? So you always can do that. OmniScripts give you that capability. In LWC OmniScripts, you can build static style sheets and then use them across your org. So it not just promotes consistency of UI, but it also supports customization. And I feel these are the two things which are very important in delivering a transformation project. So velocity first approach and using OmniScripts will offer you that UI, kind of that 5-star rating in the UI for sure. Then dynamic LWC screens on the OmniScript is something that I already talked to you about. It is completely built upon the LWC framework. So uses the LWC DOM. So you can always build those dynamic screens. You can have conditional views there. You can have repeatable blocks on the screen. Anything that you want. A chevron maybe which opens up an element and can close it if you don't want to see it. All of that can be configured very easily in OmniScripts. And then of course, I mean, there are integrations with Google Analytics, low code API consumption. So all of that is essentially a part of the OmniScript bundle. And then on the other hand, if you look at the Lightning flows, you definitely get that process first approach, wherein you can have looping, branching, you can have libraries of third party components. But what is different from OmniScripts is that screen approach is basically what you get in OmniScripts, that pre-built UI. And then something which is common across both of them is, it is responsive. Both of them are responsive. Both of them can do data read and write, guided interaction, Apex and custom LWC support, support for third-party apps, and then debug. All of these are common across both these, tools. Over to you, Rahul.
Thank you, Taran. So, team, we heard about what OmniScript is, what functionalities they bring along with them, where they can be used, how they are different from Lightning flows, right? So let's now talk about the OmniScript data sources. Okay, so going from right to left. Okay, so the first data source you see is a user inputs. Okay, so if you remember, I did show a blank, a kind of a dummy OmniScript uh, in the first session. So where we had this first name, last name, birth date, and different input elements on the flow on the form. Okay, so these input elements also act as a data source to an OmniScript. Okay, talking about the API now, while doing the FlexCard demo, we did use the weather APIs to get the data from the external system, right? The same way we used a HTTP action in the integration procedure to hit to that particular external API. So now in the same way, right, we have HTTP action in the OmniScripts as well. So we can use this HTTP action, call a external system and get the data. Now in this case, there may be a chances where the data which is getting returned from the external system is in the format which we can directly consume, or it can be in a format which we cannot directly consume. So if it is kind of in a format which we directly cannot consume, we can use the data wrapper transform to format the data according to our needs and then use it in our OmniScript. So that if you see right in the complex side of the API, it's written data wrapper transform. So this is how data wrapper transform helps us to consume the data from the external system. Now, since Taran mentioned, right, so we have Apex capabilities along with the velocity flow. So with using remote action, we can perform any complex business logics in the Apex side and then can pass the data from Apex to OmniScript, which can be consumed via OmniScript. Okay, now talking about the getting the data from the Salesforce backend, right? Salesforce database. So there can be a scenario where you want to have a query kind of thing or have extract multiple fields. Then data wrapper extract is one of the best ways to do it. There may be chance where you kind of have a functionality where you have to get just one field. Okay, so we have an element in the OmniScript called as lookup element. Okay, so using that lookup element, we can get any one particular field's data at a time in the OmniScript directly. Okay, talking about the integration procedure actions. Now, integration procedure actions, we did discuss in a short while demoing the FlexCard, that in integration procedure action, we have HTTP action, which helps to get the data. Again, in integration procedure, we can have the data wrappers wrapped and get the data from backend using integration procedure. So integration procedure also acts as one of the data sources for our OmniScript. So this is all the data sources that an OmniScript supports. Okay, Taran, can you move next? Yeah, so this is now how an Omniscript designer looks like. So when I say Omniscript designer, so when we have been using a term, we have been using terms where we were saying we can drag and drop the elements from the list of available elements to the Omniscript to build an Omniscript flow. So now this is how the designer looks like. So if you see, we have put in some numbers here. So we'll go with the flow. We'll go with the ascending order. Okay. So number one, if you see, we have a header panel where you see a type, subtype, and language, version, and active. Okay. So now when we talk about this type, subtype, and language, right? So this type, subtype, language decides what it creates a new Omniscript. Okay. So using this type, subtype, and language, it will be an identifier, a unique identifier for an Omniscript. Okay, so there may be so this will be always unique throughout the org, and using these three identifiers, we create a new Omniscript. Okay, so say if what happens if you don't make them unique. So if you don't make them unique, a new Omniscript won't be getting created. Rather, a new version of the previous Omniscript, which have this type, subtype, and language, same will be getting created. So this is how versioning acts. Again, there may be situations in a project where you have multiple developers working on the same flow, right? So what we can do, we can create multiple versions of the same flow and build them separately and then merge them. Okay, so that's how the versioning helps. Now active is this active makes an Omniscript active and marks it to be ready to use. Okay, now coming on number two, we have a navigation panel where we see what all components we have currently used in an Omniscript. So this sets the flow, or this helps us to decide the flow, what flow this whole Omniscript will have. If you see on the left hand side, right, we have set value 1, get account detail, IP, profile information. So this how it shows the what will be the navigation route on the Omniscript. Okay. Now the third part is a canvas where it is the place where you drag and drop from the list of available components to the canvas. And these are the elements that we are going to use in our Omniscript flows. Okay. Now coming to the build panel. Now build panel is something where you get the list of all the elements available in the Omniscript with different categories. So if you see, we have an action category, we have a display category, we have function category. So here, whatever the elements available to particular category are available here in the build panel. In the properties panel, what happens? So whatever a particular element that we have dragged and dropped from a particular from the build panel to our canvas, right? We need to now set up those elements as well, right? So how they will behave, what data they will collect. So these all set up for a particular element is done on the properties panel. Now coming to the setup. So setup is something happens at the Omniscript level, not at the element level. So any settings that we have to do on the Omniscript level are present on the setup panel. Now the last part, if you see, is the preview. Now if you would have remembered when we saw the demo of Flex cards or Data Raptor, we were able to preview whatever was available, what we were building, right? So so it's like you plug in and you can play it and see how it looks like. So that is plug and play functionality via preview. Whatever you are building, you need not to complete the whole flow to see the output. What you can say is element by element or step by step, you can have those preview, and then we can see how it looks like and proceed further in our flow. Okay, so this is how an Omniscript designer looks like. Taran, can we move on to next? Yeah, so if you see, these are the different elements present in our Omniscript, so which are categorized as action, display, function, group, input, and Omniscript. So here all the list of actions is not present, but I have put in some high level or like kind of very used or frequently used kind of elements. So if you see on the action side, we have DR post action, transform action, integration action, remote action, navigate action. On the display side, we have line break, text blocks, functions, we have formula, messaging, groups, we have block, radio group, steps, edit block, type ahead block, and this way we have inputs and Omniscript. Okay, so we will see them when we kind of configure an Omniscript. We'll see how it appears and how it kinds of shows on the Omniscript. We will see that in a demo time. We can go to the next, Taran. Okay, so now say our OmniScript flow is completed. We have done all the drag and drop of the element. We have built the flow however we wanted. Now we need to invoke those OmniScript. Right? We need to use them this OmniScript. So we can use this. We can invoke the OmniScript by multiple ways. We can invoke it via an LWC component, as we already said. OmniScript in backend generates an LWC component, so it can be plugged inside an LWC component as well. Say you want to directly use as an embedded embedded directly on LWC, so we can always have these the top two links. If you see like top two syntaxes, we can use them. If you are using a LWC button to kind of generate this whole like kind of invoke this whole OmniScript, then we can use the navigation mixin. So in LWC, right, whenever we use a button or we want to navigate via a button, we always use this navigation mixing, and we kind of navigate via this. So we have ready to we get this whole syntax out of the box from the OmniScript provided in the how to launch section. I'll quickly show this when I build an OmniScript, this section. Apart from this, we can also launch the OmniScript via URL. We can launch the OmniScript via wrapper. Through Visualforce page also can OmniScript can be launched. Now I'll just try to explain you this whole how the URL works like. So if you see in the Lightning, we have in the below section, we have Lightning and new port. Now LWC OmniScripts are always into Lightning, and Angular OmniScripts are in new port. Okay, so when you see instance URL, this is nothing but the base URL of your org. Along with it, if you see the last part, lightning/cmp/velocity ins velocity LWC Omni wrapper. So this is how the whole OmniScript URL looks like. And using this instance URL, you can always get this whole complete URL. Okay. Taran, can you go next? Okay, I'll have to present.
Yeah, I'll just want to add one more point here, Rahul, before you share.
Sure.
So as Rahul mentioned, these URLs get created, but what we want to, cover before that is that these URLs are basically used to publish the OmniScript. So up till here, all of you, since you are working in the Salesforce ecosystem, you know that up till here is the URL that you use for records, right? And this is where our OmniScript URL picks up, cmp/LWC Omni wrapper. So basically you can, kind of publish these OmniScripts within your portals, within your Salesforce applications, and that's where these URLs, come in. You can also use them for invoking through actions. So if you want to, let's say, pass a specific account ID or a contact ID, which is used as the context within the OmniScript, that also you can do using this URL, just by appending an and here and then adding the context ID here. So we will be, I think Rahul will be showing you the demo, and then I think we'll try and cover it there.
Let me know once you can see my screen. Then can you see?
It's up. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll just quickly show the designer part first, how the OmniScript designer looks like. So if you see, we had seen this header panel where we had this type subtype language, and then we had this navigation panel, and this is how the canvas looked like. And inside this build, right, we have different elements. If you see, okay, so these are the elements I was talking about in the available elements in the build panel. And whenever I click on any element, right, so it says this is now a step element. When I click on this step, the property element will property panel will open up, where you see different settings. Okay, so if you want to say you want to change this, if you have this submit button, right, I have this submit button. I want to change its width, so I can do this via this previous width and next width. So if you see, right, I can change my width from here. I can change the label of it. Okay, submit, I want to say next, I can make it next as well. So this is how we can do all setup from here in the property panel. So in the setup panel, right, so inside the setup panel, if these are the high level, all the settings that are all that will be applied on the OmniScript level. Okay, so if you want to mark this OmniScript as a reusable, you can mark it from here. Say you want to change the icon of this OmniScript when it is launched from a URL, right, you can always put in the icon. These all are SLDS icons which you can always put in here. Okay, again sorry. So now what happens, right, say with the whole OmniScript you have, now you want to have a particular styling for a particular kind of an element. Okay, so say you want to have a styling for all the text elements to be appearing in the same way, right? You can do this mapping from, like, you can do style these components via LWC. Okay, you want to put a validation of kind of validation where you want to have the special characters. Say you don't want to enter any special characters in your any text block or a text box. Okay, so you can have those validation, global validation in form of an LWC component, and then this LWC component can be kind of mapped to a text element, which will enhance the properties of this text element. Okay, so in this way, any text block you drag on this flow, right, this will show the same properties. You don't need to apply those validation at each text element level, rather than you will apply at the globally, and this whole flow will kind of will be following the same. Okay, here also we have a step chart option. So if you see, I'll just quickly preview this. Okay, I'll show you how this step chart looks. Okay, so this, when you preview, right, here in the preview panel, on the top, if you see now, my step chart is kind of in the top section. Okay, I can change the placement of this with the clicks only. Okay, so I'll just go to setup, I'll go to step chart option, and I can make it right. So if I'll go just and preview, right, now this top will become towards right. So this is that this is so easy to kind of configure things from the velocity and the OmniScript setup. So these are the small things that it provides on the setup. Okay, and we'll now quickly jump on the demo that we want to show you. I'll quickly show the demo of the scene.
Just to add on over here, right? So look, the intent here is to give you a kind of a feel or hang that how the designer looks like, right? And how easily you can basically create your or craft your entire guided flows, right? So it's kind of a hands-on exercise as well. We have taken a couple of use cases, small use cases, and we'll show you like how we are achieving those through this demos.
Yeah, thank you, Praveen. So if you see, right, the demo, we have an ABC company which want to offer we want to create a journey for its customers where they can quickly create contact for which they want to, for whom they want to contact for their special offers throughout the year, and they want kind of a contact creation process to be set up. So we are trying to achieve this by using data raptors and OmniScript. Okay, I'll quickly now move to org. So I'll move to OmniScript. From this OmniScript tab in the OmniStudio app, if you see this, you'll get a OmniScript drop down here. Okay, and when you click new, here I have to give a name. So I'll give a contact creation OmniScript flow. By default, my language is English. I'll mark it as a category in contact, and I will mark it as BLR Pro. Okay, and I think if you see,
and just one important thing, maybe the uniqueness, if you can cover, Rahul, here.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
go ahead.
if as I already told on the OmniScript designer, right? So language type and subtype makes a OmniScript identify uniquely. Okay, if I kind of use any type or subtype or language which is already present in the org, right? Like if the combination is already present in the org, it will create a new version of it rather than creating an new OmniScript. So we'll have to make sure every time that if we are creating a new flow, a total new flow for a particular use case, we make it, we keep the type, subtype, and language, the combination of all three unique, so that we don't run into that versioning issue, rather than we create a new flow in it. Okay, so I'll quickly save this. Okay, so it gives me a step by default. Okay, since we are creating flows, right, we need a screen. So the first screen is coming by default. I'll quickly name it. I'll change the name of this. Rather than first step one, I'll call it as details. Okay, and inside that, I'll quickly add a block. I can search even here. So I'll quickly add a block. Okay, and then I'll rename this block to say I'm getting the personal details. Okay, now this name, right, is always an API name. So we cannot use space inside this. Okay, and this will be the field label is something which will appear on the screen. Okay, so I'll mark it as a personal details. Now the intent of using this block here, right, So this block creates a collapsible section. So in case you have huge flow where you have to navigate to like kind of a you have a long screen. Okay, so the navigation using these collapsible sections become bit easier rather than if I put directly on the screen. The flow looks the page looks very long. Okay, so I'll try adding couple of fields on the block and then show you how it appears without block and how it appears with block. Okay, so I'll put a text element saying, I can even search here, which would have the first name and the last name. I'll drag two text fields here. Okay, and I'll add it to the block. Okay, so I'll rename them. I'll rename to the first name. If you're noticing here, I'm putting the API name without space here, and label is something which appears on the screen. Okay, I'll give the first name, and here I'll mark it as last name. Okay, now I'll add a salutation here. So to add a pick list, right, we have select elements which we can drag and drop, and we can add a pick list value. So I'll call it as salutation. Okay, now I can make this as a required. If you see under properties, I can make it read only, I can make it required here. So I'll just make salutation as required. And then now this pick list, right, we need to add values to it. So to add values, right, we have option source here, which can be a manual, which can be a S object, we can have custom as well. So manual means if you want to add pick list option directly here, okay, we can add the value and label here, which can be, we can even mark as default value for the pick list here. Okay, so we can add values here. In case we don't want to add here and we already have a field in backend, right, the same values, and we want to keep those values in sync with whatever is present in org, we will just use S object. So what I'll do is in the source, I'll have to put this would be, say I want to pick it up from the contact salutation. So the format would be the object API name and then field API name. Okay, if you see, I put the contact dot salutation. So this will fetch all the salutation fields on the contact, whatever the pick list values are present, it will pick there. So we'll quickly preview it and see whatever we built, how it looks. Okay, so if you see here, I'm getting all the values from the org. Okay, and then this is how it looks. I want to preview it. This is now desktop version. I want to preview it in a mobile version. So if you see, this is how it looks in mobile. This is how it looks in the tablet. So that's how we can quickly see how whatever we have built is looking nice or not. Okay, now I told about block, right? So I'll just quickly move out this field to outside the block. Okay, and if you see this section in the grid, right, it appears these are all inside a block and this is not inside a block. If I preview it, right, so this is how it will look. So this goes alignment changes for them, and when I use this collapsible, right, so all these two fields gets collapsed, but this last time, since it was not the part of block, doesn't get collapsed. Okay, so this is the benefit of using blocks. Okay, for the form creation, so that it makes UI look very nice and your components don't get cluttered. Okay, we'll use quickly some more elements where we can kind of add the details. Okay, so ABC company wants to kind of contact, right? So we would need some contact sources. Okay, so we will add email as one of the input. Okay, and then we would need the phone number. So I'll just add telephone here. So these are the different elements that we can add. Okay, so I'll quickly rename them. Just rename this. I'll make it required because I need email for sure while I contact registers, and I'll call them as mobile number. Okay, and I'll mark it as also required. So if you see, this is these are the details. Again, I may have some offers. ABC company might have some offers when a customer has a birthday or something. So let's take a date also, so to get the details of birth, and then we might have some gender specific offers as well. So I'll just have one radio button to say gender. Okay, So I'll quickly configure this. I'll put the name, correct names of this. Okay. And then I'll make it. With radio buttons, right? Again, it also needs some options, right? Option source. So here again, we have the same custom, manual, and as object. For the custom, right? Here also we have a custom. So now custom is nothing but if you want to have these values getting from an Apex class. Okay, so say we have to show list of records, like name of the records related to it. So what we can do, we can create an Apex class, we can pass on the data to Apex class, get the list created, and then show this list here. Okay, so that's how a custom helps. I'll just go with the manual for this gender. Say male. Okay. So I have added 3 options here. Okay. And now this look and feel also can be controlled. So now if you see this is in a vertical mode, I can also make it a horizontal way. If I want to keep it in this way, I can also add an image kind of thing. So if I want to add some image to it, right? You see here we have an option source as image, and in image, we can have the images here. We can pass the URLs. Okay. We'll have to go to this here. So if you see here, edit, whatever settings we do, it generates a JSON. And here in the image, we can put images directly here in one of the source here. If you see, type image and the source of image would be inside this source. Okay, so we can pass the URLs here, which will pick the image of the button. Okay, this is how we can configure a radio property. I'll just quickly make it vertical, so that it looks in alignment with the form. Okay, now this all right, this all one line here. If you see this, if you want to club up, say I want to see 3 fields inside in a single row, what I can do, I can change the width of this. Okay, and then it will auto adjust. So if you see this auto adjust, so by default it follows SLDS grid structure, where you have where you get 12 as 12 as the length of the whole one grid, and then you can mark it kind of 444 to show this. This is how you can kind of restructure the elements inside a form. Okay, now we need one more element. We want to show which account, under which account it's kind of getting. So I'll just put one text element here, and we'll call it account name. Okay, we'll call it as account name. Okay, so, and since account name should not be changed by customer, right, I'll mark it as read only. So we will have to get the data for this account, right, from where we will get this data. So now if you remember, right, in the previous demo, if you remember, I had an account. Okay, now this account via this button, I was invoking my OmniScript. Okay, this is how I was invoking the OmniScript. Okay, if you see in this URL, right, I am passing one of the elements says account ID here in this URL. Now using this account ID, I'm getting the data and printing the name of the data here, like the name of the account here. So we'll have to read this URL. So, but whatever comes in the OmniScript directly, right, in the if whatever is passed in the URL, if it is passed with C underscore underscore the name of element, we can read directly those elements inside the OmniScript. Okay, so if you see, I have passed, I was showing you, I have passed the account ID here. Yes, so if you see this account ID, right, I'll get this account ID and I'll get the details of this account. So for the getting the details, right, I have already built a data raptor. Okay, I'll just reuse the data raptor which we built as a part of data raptor demo. Okay, and I'll get account details from URL. Yeah, so I have created a data raptor. If you see, this is the data raptor that is created already. Okay, where we are passing account ID and in output it is giving us the name and ID. Okay, so we are using this data raptor directly, and I'll just quickly configure this data raptor, and I have to pass the data source. So my OmniScript has the data in account ID, and the filter value would be the value which is present on the data raptor side. So if you see this get account here, we are using this account ID here. Okay, so now this account ID value will be getting passed to this account ID, which will be matching with this ID, and the account data will be getting fetched from here. Okay, so I'll quickly move on to the input parameter. Yeah, so our data raptor is ready to go, but now it is passing the name. Okay, to pre-fill this, right, to pre-fill any element of the OmniScript, we will have to use a set value. Or we can directly we can use via some JSON hacking as well. Okay, so for now what I'll do is I'll use a set value. Okay, now we could have skipped it, but since the response that we are getting from the data raptor is right, so if you see here, the response that we are getting of the data raptor is in form of name. Okay, had it been account name here, we could have directly skipped the set value, but if it is coming as name, right, so we will have to transform that input. We'll have to kind of change this variable name so that it can be directly consumed by this account name. Okay, what I'll do, I'll quickly create a set value here, and we'll mark this account name to value as name. Yeah. So any expression binding that happens in OmniScript, right, if we have got any value from, or we have got any data from the data raptor, and we want to use that as that value in our OmniScript, it always goes with this ampersand thing. We have to write the name of the variable. To read the value, we'll have to use this ampersand both the side and then the variable name. That's how we read the value in the OmniScript. Okay, so if you see, we are ready to go here. Okay, and I'll quickly go to preview. Okay, so since we have not passed the account name right till now, okay, so that's why it's coming. Okay, in Lightning we cannot add text variables. What I'll do, I'll go to Classic Designer quickly, and I can show how can we add text variables here. Okay, I'll do this preview quickly, and inside data, I'll add a text variable called as account ID, and the account would be ABC company. Okay. I'll put the value and I'll kind of update this. So if you see now, if you see, the name of account is started populating here. Okay, so this is how, and flow kind of our flow is ready. Okay, if I close this, if you see, the whole is inside a panel of block. Now we want to save. Once we get the input, right, we want to save this. So to save the data to backend, right, we'll have to again invoke a data raptor post to save this detail. So I'll just collapse it. I'll go to build. The data raptor is already created. I'll quickly show you. Okay, and then I'll dr create contacts. Okay, this data raptor is already available. I'll show you what we are doing in this. So we are just mapping the JSON fields, whatever we are getting the JSON fields in the OmniScript, we are mapping it with the database fields. So we are planning to store the data inside contact. In fields, if you see, right, we have these IDs and we have whatever we have added. So we have details, personal details, and birth date. So if you see this, why we are using these details, personal details, and birth date. So if I want to reach to element, right, birth date element, to get the data, it's inside a block, it's inside a step, it's inside a block, and then it's a element inside this block. So to reach this element, I'll have to traverse through this step, then this block, and then this element. So this is how this mapping, we explained how we did the whole data raptor session. We explained how we do the mapping. So this is how the data raptor is ready to like we have created already, and we have used directly inside this. Okay, and then I'll use the data raptor inside. We have already dragged and dropped the data raptor inside this. Okay, and now we will do a preview quickly. Okay, so we are ready to go, but since we are not able to kind of add the test variable here, I'll quickly move to the classic view again. Okay, I'll quickly fill the data. Okay, and then if you see, I'm getting a next button. On the click of next button, okay, here I have not added any confirmation screen. We could, because the intent was to show how this whole configuration happens, we can add a confirmation screen again, and we can show the details. So if you see here in the JSON, we are getting a contact ID. I can directly copy this ID and show here. If you see, you'll be getting a contact with whatever name, with whatever details I have shared. I have created. A contact will be getting created. See, I just created under this ABC company. I entered this. The email was this, and then the name and details. So this is how we configure an Omnis script, and this is how the whole we can directly attach the Omnis contact even with the account. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Rahul. Rahul, if you can continue sharing a screen, or if you, Taran, you can share anyone.
Yeah. Oh, actually, yeah. Taran, can you just share your screen directly, because I'm not getting an option to stop share somehow.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yep, I think we can start with this one. So again, thank you, Taranveer and Rahul, for explaining the overview, right, about OmnisScript, its key capabilities around with that use case. So now let's do one thing. Let's quickly understand the overall OmnisScript architecture, right, and how it works from architecture perspective. What exactly happens behind the scene? So if you remember, right, we discussed in our previous sessions that Omnis Studio generally comes up in two types. One is Angular, one is LWC. And the Angular one is a traditional one, and was the only way of configuring guided flows or OmnisScript, or even the cards as well, right, on top of velocity managed packet till the time LWC enabled OmnisScripts were not present, right? So LWC enabled OmnisScript basically came into the picture recently, almost an year back only. However, earlier when Velocity, they started selling the packages, right, at that time it was only in the form of Angular. So basically, if you can see here, right, in this flow, from the Angular perspective, again, we won't be putting up a lot of focus around the Angular, but I just want to give you a quick overview, because it's quite imperative to understand like how it works, because Velocity is still supporting the Angular, right? So the Angular one, right, as I mentioned, it's traditional one, right, and it uses the Visualforce page framework behind the scenes, right, and that Visualforce page, right, gets rendered inside the iframe of a Lightning Aura component. So I think if someone, let's say a few of us might be aware about the Visualforce page, right, what is Aura component, right, because now it's all LWC is trending everywhere. But if you know how VF page and how Aura works, right, so this is how basically this Angular OmnisScript, when it gets created, it will form a VF page behind the scene, and that VF page will get rendered inside the iframe on a Lightning Aura component, and then that would be displayed on our Lightning experience page, right, when we'll expose that OmnisScript on the Flexi page or Lightning page. So that's how generally the Angular works, right? And if you can see, right, Angular, there are a lot of libraries, right, JS libraries like Angular, basically PDF, a lot of JSON stuff, CSS stuff, controllers, right, out of the box custom template. Basically, since Aura has a lot of bundles, right, so similarly, this will also have a lot of files over there. But now, coming to the LWC, right? So again, we know like it's trending in the market, right? We know what's the value of it, and knowing its potential around the performance and user experience perspective. Basically, Salesforce has started putting up more focus on enhancing the OmniScripts on Lightning Web Component side. And again, the intent is to eventually bring this on the mainstream Salesforce core platform. If you remember, I discussed today morning, right? So basically, in near future, you would be seeing these Omnia Studio packages and toolkit as part of Salesforce core platform only. So let's do one thing. Let's start with the LWC one here. So if you can see LWC right here on the below half section. So once you are on the LWC OmniScript Designer, which basically Rahul has showcased while presenting the demo, and once you're done with your changes, right, again, just hear out clearly, team, because this is really very important, right, that how behind the scene, what is getting formed behind the scene, right? So what happened, your data gets stays in the form of basically it creates in the form of JSON definition, right? So basically the combination of various element, right, which would be used to configure the guided flows will be in the form of JSON, right? Or basically it will create a DOM, right, and keeps adding the JSON key value pair inside that hierarchy, right? As you continue adding new element or value against it, as you continue adding a different structural structure over there, right? So it keeps increasing the JSON definition, right? So basically, once you're done with the changes and the moment you plan to activate or deploy your OmniScript, what will happen? It will start generating and updating the respective files for HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, right? And obviously the static XML metadata definition would be also there, right? And that would happen during the deployment process. So let's see, what are the different things which are required for LWC, right? There are 3 or 4 files for LWC, right? CSS, your markup file, that is HTML, and the JavaScript file. And obviously your XML meta definition file would be there, right? So these all gets created once you're deploying the LWC. So let's say while configuring OmniScript, right, let's understand each file in an individual manner. So when you're configuring OmniScript, you would have used certain structural or input elements like data types element or fields such as text, Boolean, date, time, right? Or like Rahul has used step and block as well, right? Or any custom LWC element you are using. So what will happen is that structure would go into the markup or the HTML file, right? So these all stuff will combine together and it will create a HTML file, right? So that's the first one. Now, similarly, anything related to styling, right, on top of these basic structure elements would generate the file for CSS. Let's say if you're planning to basically change the font, right, apply some styling, apply some basically rich branding over there, right, or some styling over there, additional static the static style or dynamic styling over there. So that would go into the CSS file. Okay, and that's the second one. And now if you're planning to use let's say any logics over there, right, any events, right, or any handlers or any server related activities like reading, writing, or maybe transforming the data into from say database, right, Salesforce database, or using external database by either using data raptor or integration procedure or IP or Apex, right, then that logic would be covered under your JavaScript file, right? And that would be generally we used to call it JS file, right? So if you see, right, so first HTML markup file, your CSS file, and then now we have JS file, right? So everything combines together to form a LWC package, and that's what we used to call it Omni Studio LWC here in terms of Velocity or Salesforce Industries, right? And once it's deployed, you can simply see your Omni Studio LWC package, right? You can fetch it inside your basically VS Code, or nowadays like a lot of web basically extensions are also trending, right, for LWC. So you can always go and basically check it over there, that how the whole entire structure will look like. I'll cover that how it will look like as part of the next demo, right, when I'm giving. Yes, and it would support PubSub as well. Yeah, I think I was just going through some of the questions. So, and again, it also has capability to interact with the another LWC or another VF page, right, or a component also from there, right, through the various communication mechanisms like Lightning message services, right, PubSub, or any other event handler capabilities which we have. So this is how it works behind the scene, folks, and hope definitely you will be able to relate it now, right, when you will work on the Velocity or Lightning enabled OmniScript next time, that what will happen exactly behind the scene, right, where data would store and how those stuff. All right, and next slide please. Awesome. So, team, as so when we are saying right high velocity, right? So this is again a very important terminology. So we are not talking about the velocity of Omni Studio or the Salesforce Industries one here, right? So we are talking about the capability of Omni Studio LWC, right? And which makes it kind of a high velocity or high performing, right? Because generally when we are saying high velocity, it's these are the different features which are part of that, right? So it's fast, right? Obviously, so most of you have worked, right, or would have experienced that using LWC will definitely increase or boost up your performance as compared to any other substitute tools, right? Angular or Aura, right? So, and the reason being is obviously it loads only fewer files, right? Less file as compared to others. Aura, we have a lot of bundles over there, right? Angular, we have a lot of files over there, a lot of code needs to be written over there. However, this Lightning Web Component creates very crisp and basically the limited number of files, and that's the reason it's pretty fast, right? Next one is embedded. This is also one of the very important aspect, right? So what you can do here is you can basically embed or expose it on the third party website. So I think I saw a question from someone that, okay, what is Omni Out, right? So basically Omni Out will basically provide a capability on top of Velocity's Omni Studio platform through which you can expose your Omni script or expose your Flex card to an external system, right? And when I'm saying external system, that would be non-Salesforce platform, right? Or off-platform system, right? So a lot of things needs to be done behind the scene. You need to know the Node JavaScript and all those stuff, right, in order to deploy it. So there is a separate learning document which is available, right? How you can expose your Omnis script or Lightning enabled Omnis script on external website or on a community website, right? Or any other third-party site. So this is basically called embeddable, right? The other important part is interoperable. So as we know, right, so it's capable of, as Rahul and Taranveer both have covered, that it's capable of dynamically sharing data and events with the other component, right? Be it's another LWC or VF page or Aura component or another Omnis script, right? So you can basically use event handlers, Lightning message services, PubSub model for that communication, right? So you can easily communicate, you can easily allow your Omnis script to communicate with the other channels as well. So this is another important aspect here. Then extensible, this is very important feature, right? So again, I saw a few questions that can we embed Salesforce custom Lightning Web Component inside OmniScript? Yes, and that is why we are calling it extensible, right? You can basically create Salesforce custom LWC, you can embed call it from your Lightning enabled OmniScript. You can also call an Apex class from your Lightning enabled OmniScript. So these all features basically makes it extensible, right? Where developer will have that luxury or basically provision to basically leverage different toolkits which are outside of even Omni Studio Velocity platform as well, right? That is like Apex or LWC. So this is in terms of high velocity. Let's jump into the next one, Taran, please. Awesome. Now, so this is the creating a custom LWC, right? So generally, if you want to create a custom LWC, right? Again, this is most hot topic nowadays, right? Can we really invoke a custom LWC from OmniScript, right? Yes, we can do that, and but obviously we can't do it simply by invoking that, right? We'll have to do some prerequisites. We'll have to do some settings, right, in our existing custom LWC files, right? So these are some of the settings, if you can see, right? So first one is, so basically primarily there are two settings which needs to be done. One is on the XML configuration file and another one is on the JavaScript. So if you can see basically the slide, right? So you need to set the is exposed property to true. So basically what it would do is expose, right? So it's basically, so when it's true, right, that it will allow you to basically enable the communication of that LWC component with the managed package of Velocity, right? Because look, OmniScript comes as part of the managed package of Velocity, and LWC is into the Salesforce platform, right? So that is exposed will allow your OmniScript and LWC to interact with each other, right? So that is one. Runtime namespace, again, this is also very important, right? You would have heard about this particular namespace, right? Generally, we have namespace for the packages. So generally, let's say if you're installing the package, right, Velocity package. So Velocity package comes up in different form, right? Like based on the industry which you want to apply or which you want to install on top of your Salesforce platform. Let's say if you want to if you want to install velocity communication package, right, then you can get the velocity namespace from the that package, right, and that would come here. So that would be, let's say, velocity underscore cmt. If you're planning to install velocity health and insurance, the namespace would be velocity underscore ins. And how to check that is pretty straightforward. You just need to go into your setup under installed package. You need to search for the velocity package, and there you will be able to see the namespace over there. And so this would be these were the two inside the XML metadata configuration. The next is the important one, that would be inside the JavaScript file of your custom LWC, right? So since you will have to allow your OmniScript to interact with basically the OmniScript, right? Basically to perform any kind of a logics, to perform any kind of a basically external invocation or external calls, right? So you need to ensure that you are extending your component with the OmniScript base mixing. So with that, basically you will be able to leverage the OmniScript framework, right? OmniScript Lightning framework, which comes as part of Omni Studio. You'll be able to leverage that on top of your LWC. So these are the two basically important changes which you'll have to do. Unless you're not making these changes, you won't be able to use the custom LWC. I think with that, I'll quickly take it over and basically go through a quick demo on this. So yeah, so basically again, it would be kind of a hands-on exercise. I want to keep it pretty flexible, right? I'll just show you basically how we can invoke LWC, how we can invoke a reusable OmniScript, right? Or how we can basically invoke an Apex class within the OmniScript, right? And again, I'll be taking some basic use cases in continuation with what Rahul has covered as part of his demo, right? So Rahul had basically created a contact within an account. So I'll try to fetch that contact, and then I'll try to add the address for that content by using a reusable OmniScript. Again, when I'm talking about reusable OmniScript, that would be a separate OmniScript, right? The way we have these, let's say in Apex, right, we used to write the utility classes, right, that can be used across multiple parent Apex classes, right? Similarly, there is something called reusable concept where you can make that OmniScript generalize and you can use it across the other parent OmniScript. And then I'll also basically quickly give you a small, basically, again, that's a pretty small LWC, right? I won't be doing a lot of operations over there. It's only for display purpose, because the intent is to just to give you a feel, right, or hang like how this works on top of OmniScript, right? This LWC or Apex. And then finally, like I'll just show you basically how to basically enable or how to call an Apex class from there. So with that, I'll take it over from here. Just give me a moment. I'll share my screen. Yeah, let me know once it's visible, team.
Yeah, we can see.
Just a moment. Okay, so this is the use case right here. So basically, Rahul had created an account, right? ABC company, and within that account, basically, let's say he created a contact called Will Smith, right? So now what we are going to do here is we are going to create a OmniScript, and that OmniScript basically will fetch this contact detail, and you can also update some of the basic fields on that contact like phone or email over there, and then you can update the address as well. And as part of address, we will also see basically how we have integrated the Google APIs over there. Okay, and then we'll also basically talk about the custom LWC and other stuff. Just a moment. Okay, so basically I already have so as a prerequisite, right, I already have a data raptor over here. So this data raptor would help me to fetch the contact which Rahul has created, right? And I think there was a question, right, from Ankit or Amol, if I'm not wrong, that how this works, right? Obviously, so this is a mapping, right? So let's say you are basically planning to fetch an ID of a contact, right? So what you'll have to do, obviously, this is the object name, right? And this would be the exact field. So in contact, the primary key is ID only, right? And on against which particular variable you would like to store this ID, right? So this is the contact ID over there, right? You can make it con ID or anything else as well, right? It will take it, right? Let's say if you want to make it contact ID 1, it will take that as well, right? So it's a simple variable name which you can configure according to, as per your ease or according to your convenience, right? So this data raptor is there, and this data raptor will help us to fetch some of the basic details of contact along with account, right? Email, contact name, and phone. And again, since we have already covered data raptor, like how it would fetch, so I won't be basically going into detail of this one. Then basically we have this reusable Omnis script. If you can see, right, this is a reusable Omnis script, just a one-step Omnis script, but the moment you will basically collapse it, right? So if you can see that there are a lot of fields over here in terms of address related, right? And if you can see here, like we have enabled the Google API over here, right? So obviously for enabling Google APIs, you need a map key, right? Or you need a Google Map API key, right? So obviously it's available free for use for initial trial version, and then you'll have to pay for it. So just for demo purpose, we have added a Google API, right, from our trial version. And then basically you will have to map it against the API or the different key value pair, right, which were provided as part of the trust API of the Google map. So this is how this is done. But again, the intent is just to showcase that how we are going to embed this reusable Omnis script inside our new Omnis script, right? And then the next part is basically we also have an LWC, small LWC, which we have created just to display the customer name, right? So I'll quickly cover that as well. Before that, if you can see, right, we were talking about these two properties, right? That in order to allow your custom LWC to fit into the Omnis script, you need to have these two properties inside your metadata definition of an XML, right? So these two property needs to be enabled. And then inside JavaScript, you need to have this, you need to extend this LWC, right, with the OmniScript base mixing, right? With that, it will allow us to use it on top of OmniScript. Now, and we also have a small Apex class, right? Again, from functionality perspective, we're not going to do anything. We are only going to cover like what exactly this OmniScript, what exactly this Apex class, what exactly changes you will have to make inside this Apex class in order to allow you to work with the Omnis Studio or OmniScript. So with that, what I'll do, I'll basically quickly try to create a new Omnis script. I won't be taking a lot of time over there. So let's say contact session 3, okay? And then type will give contact, subtype will give, let's say, sample. And again, LWC enabled Omnis script, right? I saw some question from over there also. I think Rahul and Taranveer has already covered it. So this will allow you to keep your Omnis script into LWC format. If you will not hit it, it will create your Omnis script into Angular one. So that's the main difference. Okay. So now with that, I'll click on save, and it will create a container, or basically, I won't say empty container, but it would be creating a container. And there you can basically create your Omnis script, right? So this was the one. Right. So if you can see here, right? So as Rahul was saying, so a default step has already been pulled over here, right? So what we will do here, we will add a data raptor on this, because the intent is to fetch the existing contact detail first, right? So we'll add a data raptor extract action, because extract action will help us to fetch that, right? So we can either use data raptor extract action or turbo action as well, because we are planning to fetch the data from only one object, right? So we can use any one of them. So what you need to do, since you need to basically use it before this step only, right? So you need to expose it, you need to drag and drop it from here and keep it over here first. Okay. So now before this step, I have added a data raptor extract action. This will work behind the scene to fetch the contact details. Again, this would be unique, right? You can simply give anything, data raptor extract action, let's say contact, right? Field level, again, this is display level. Again, this would be only for the developer purpose, right? This won't be displayed over the UI, right? So you can simply keep it contact only. Data raptor interface, I already had a data raptor, as I told you, right? The data raptor name was some contact, right? Some sample contact search. Yep, sample get contact details. So I have simply selected, rather than creating a new data raptor over there, I'm ignoring a cache over there. And in terms of data source, right, what I'll do, since I'm working on the same context here, right, in terms of context, so I'll use context ID here, right? That's pretty it's a straightforward choice, right? And in filter value, I'll give contact ID, right? Because here uh, in my data raptor, I had used contact ID over here, right? So if I have to use con ID, then I'll have to give con ID over there as well, right? So this is what we will be doing over here. And again, there are a lot of other properties. We are not going to basically really look into those, right? Because it's, again, it's ocean, right? So we are only going to basically fetch some of these components and we're going to display it over there, right? Now our data raptor is ready, and whether it's working or not, we'll see here, right? Because we'll have to basically drag and drop few of the elements from build property. Right now, what you need to do, you need to get a basically, let's say, input, right? From input side, you need to get, let's say, just a moment, let's say a phone field, right? So I'll be searching for that. It's a phone field over here. I have dragged and drop it to store the phone value. I'll make the name as phone because that's the same name for me on the data raptor as well. So you need to ensure that in your output, right, whatever name you have taken it over here, you need to keep it. So it's contact phone, my bad. So I'll be keeping it contact phone over here, because this is the API name, right? So this should match with exactly what from where you are pulling the data, right? And then this one you can keep the contact phone. This is label name, right? And this would be displayed on the UI. Then if you want to keep the other properties over here required and other, all those stuff, you can keep it over here, right? But I'm not going to keep it. So my contact field is there. Now what I'll do, I'll simply create one more, that is element, and that element name is email. And again, if you can see, right, I'm literally not dragging, basically not dragging and dropping basically by going into the individual over there, right? So I'm simply searching the name and then I'm simply keeping it over, exposing it over here. So for email also, the field is contact email, right? So what I'll do, in the name, I'll use contact email. Now, so let's do one thing. Let's quickly search this, right? So we have this contact ID, right? So what I'll do in preview mode only, I'll try to basically see if it's fetching the data or not, right? So I have entered a contact ID. Again, that is the context ID over here. I'll do the refresh, right? And then let's see if we are able to see that or not. Right, so I think contact phone is mapped with some other field. Of contact phone is not there. That's the reason this data is null. But if you can see, right, the contact email came here, right, and this was the contact email. So now the intent of this Omnis script is to add any additional or make any additional updates over there, right? So we'll do it. But before that, now if you see, right, the contact name is missing, right, and that's quite important field over here, right? So we'll again go into design, right? And in order to add a contact name, right, we'll not simply basically drag a text over there and put up a name from the data raptor. What we have done, just to showcase that how you can embed a Salesforce custom LWC over here, we are going to embed a LWC here. So for that, you need to search with custom. And if you can see here, right, there's an option called custom lightning web component, right? So you can either expose it inside the step or you can expose it outside the step, right? Anything would work. What I'll do for this demo purpose, since I'll have to keep it inside the step, right? So that I'm basically creating a sense over here in terms of like the updation of this contact, right? So I'm going to do that. Right. So if you can see, right, so this custom LWC got added over here, but right now, basically I have not added a specific LWC, right, which would be helping me to fetch the contact name over here, right? So what I'll do, there is already LWC which we have created. that is hello customer, right? So I'll show you basically what would be the message which it would display, right? So I have added it over there. If we can check standalone LWC, or we can keep it blank. Again, that depends, because anyway this is single, so we can check it, or we can ignore it as well. But again, like what are different parameters we'll have to pass it from OmniScript into the LWC, right? So that can be done from here. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll simply use customer name. I have created a property or variable name, cust name, and in that I'll pass over the some data after we were getting the contact name, right? If I'm not wrong. Yeah, this was a contact name which we were getting from the data after, right? So we'll pass this contact name to our LWC component, right? And now I'll go into that LWC component and see over here, right? So this is my HTML metadata. I don't have anything on this styling perspective, right? So what I have done, if you can see, right? So I'm taking this variable, right? And basically checking if it's not null, right? If it has value, then returning the customer name variable over here. And then through this HTML, through the use of this HTML, I'm using this particular property to basically add along with this particular message, right? So if you can see, right, this would be the final message that would get displayed on the OmniScript where we have exposed our LWC component. Again, you can do a lot of complex things with the use of it, but just for the sake of this for this demo, right, or hands-on exercise, we have used simple one, right? Else it would be kind of a never-ending stuff. So now let's go back to the OmniScript here. Let's see whether it's working or not, right? So again, we'll go into the preview mode. But again, important point, right? When we are working, when we have enabled Salesforce LWC over here, we can't simply go into preview and check it unless we are not activating the OmniScript. So we'll have to first activate this OmniScript. And now just please take a basically moment over here to see like what exactly is happening over here, right? So it's deploying LWC, right? Now if you'll see, right, it will try to generate the different files, right, for this LWC, generating HTML, right? That's the first one, the one which I discussed as part of the architecture of LWC Omni Studio. Now deploying HTML, it generated the HTML, now it's trying to deploy that HTML. Now similarly, generating JS, JavaScript. Now it will deploy the JS once it's done with the creation or generation of it. Here we go. It's not deploying the JS file. Yep, that's done. Now, since it's activated, right? So now we'll do preview of it. Let's see if we can basically see the name of the customer over there or not. Right? So yep. So if you can see here, right? So I think the name was Will Smith, and yep, the name was Will Smith, right? And so here you go, right? This is the message basically which we displayed from the LWC, right? So you can do any other operation as well, right? Similarly, so right now for this demo we have taken only this small example. You can do whatever you like to do, any server call or any other stuff, right? Through that use data table or any other logic over there in terms of a structure or element, you can always go with that. So here if you can see, right, the name is there, right? You can update your contact, right? You can update your email ID or anything else right over there. So this is how basically custom LWC can be embedded over here. Okay, I'm again going back into the design section and keep pouring your questions. I know like there might be few questions over there, right? So, and again, one more important thing, though we are not doing it, let's say if we'll have to return back certain stuff from the JavaScript file of the custom LWC into OmniScript, right? That also can be done, right? So we have something called Omni apply call resp, right? So with the help of that property, you can always return back something on the OmniScript, right? So that feature is also there. So this was about the custom LWC. Now what we'll do now, we have this step. What we'll do, we'll add one more reusable OmniScript over here, and we'll see basically how we can add the address on top of it. So I'll again go into the build section. Under build section, we had that Google API OmniScript, right? So here we go. You'll be able to see all those reusable OmniScript over here. So you just have to simply okay. So this is in activation mode. That's the reason I'm not able to basically drag and drop anything. So in order to make this designer work, right? So first you'll have to deactivate this version. Perfect. Now, once you have deactivated, right, if you can see all the fields or basically all the entire designer content have become editable, right, over here. So now I'll drag and drop this Google API reusable OmniScript into this parent OmniScript, right? And we have already talked about this reusable OmniScript, right? That what it will do, it will basically it will invoke a Google API, and basically based on the address which we are populating against the contact, it will try to locate us on that particular map. It will try to locate that contact address on the map, right? So let's see like how it would work now. So I'll again activate it because I want to basically show that how that LWC is still into the picture, right? Now, when we are saying generating HTML, right? So now since it was deployed already first time, right? So it's basically trying to generate additional stuff on top of the existing HTML or JavaScript files. It won't create a new basically file. It will simply try to upload the existing ones. All right. So with that, let's see like how it would look in preview mode. Okay. Again, this is not in real time. This is in preview mode, right? So this is in designer mode. So you can always preview it to verify whether this is working or not. So if you can see, the first step is perfect, right? And in the second step, what we had done, we had embedded a reusable OmniScript for address. So I'll click on the second one. And if you can see here, right? So this address OmniScript got displayed, right? And this is a reusable, a generic one. So let's say I'm giving some address over there. So Phoenix, Arizona. And if you can see here, right? So it has like again a fraction of a second, it has invoked or basically opened up a map here, right? And it landed me to this particular address. If I want to give some street over there, right? I don't remember any street over there, but if I'll have to give it over there, right, it will directly land me to over there as well, right? So all those, so if you can see, right, this has been easily configured over there. And if you want to do it via Apex, right, you need to write a bunch of lines of code over there, right? Many lines of code, and maybe multiple classes as well. But here it was simply achieved by simply through some type ahead feature. So this is type ahead feature, right? If you can see, so the moment we started typing over here, it has started showing the recommendation, right? Or basically what exactly can be the right matches for this particular type which you are basically entered it over here, right? So you can select anything and basically it would simply open that in the map over here. So this is another important aspect, right? So with this, we are covering two stuff, right? So one is the reusable property of the OmniScript, and second one, how easily you can configure Google APIs or Google Map APIs without writing even a single line of code here. Perfect. So now we have this, right? And now let's quickly, last thing, let's quickly basically see how we can basically invoke a Apex class from this OmniScript.
Praveen, just one more thing, before we go
Sure.
ahead,
Go
we
ahead.
have a couple of questions on this map thing. Can you please show that map? Just wanted to cover some
Yeah, sure.
questions here.
Yep.
So,
You want to see it in designer mode? No.
no. In the runtime, just
Okay.
enter something and you can show it over. So for the broader team here, so I want to tell that this is the Google Places API which is being used in the backend. So all of you can go back and create an account on the Places API, And what we are doing here is, as soon as you enter an address, let's say you enter Phoenix, let's say we enter something like Phoenix. So it will return us, couple of recommendations. So Praveen, can you just type Phoenix here, like nothing else, and we just wanted to see the recommendations.
Yep.
So we have these 5 or 6 recommendations being returned here, and now each of these recommendations, if you select first one, there will be certain components, of this address. There will be a administrative level 1, level 2, level 3, the locality, the postal code. So all of that basically comes from the Google API. You can also see that in your data, and then you can also see it here in the mapping. So if you see, we have street being mapped to street. So whatever results are being returned from Google are being mapped here on the UI. And one more thing which is important to mention here is that as a part of our type ahead functionality, Google API or Google Places API is something which is offered by Velocity out of the box. So for some people who are asking, how do you see that map? You just have to select a checkbox for map, and that's it. So if you scroll up, Praveen,
Here is
you
the,
have that hide
yep,
map. Hide map here, Google Maps autocomplete.
yep. So this
So if
feature is
you,
enabled.
yeah, if you want to hide that map, you can tick mark this checkbox. And if you don't want like the map, and you just want these fields to be populated, then you can also do that. So basically an API integration, which is returning us couple of results. You are selecting the result which is most close to your address, and then that gets broken down into couple of fields like street, locality, address line 1, etc., etc. So all JSON just being broken down into different nodes and then mapped on the UI. That's it.
Perfect. Thanks, Taranveer. It was
We
really
have
essential to cover that. Yep. Hello.
so we have to create an account on Places API.
Right, right. You'll have to create a trial account, right? And then you can get that API key and some of those other API related details through which you'll have to map it over here.
Can you please once go to the run mode and type like 112? Will we get all the details from the streets also?
Yeah, it will call the details from the street as well, right?
Can you
If there-
can
look,
no do
this is the
do
street.
on the first one, yeah, the Phoenix
Okay.
1 1.
Look, if you
Yeah,
can see here.
select. Okay, got it.
It's the same thing that you will
The
see on
same.
Google
It's,
Maps.
yep,
That's
it's
it.
powered by Google. If you see, right, while search, when we were searching, right, so it was clearly showing that powered by Google. So again, it's through Google only. Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Taran. And so let's quickly jump into the last section of the demo. That is with respect to the. Just give me a moment. This is the one, right? Right. So I'll go into design mode again. So now we also have provision to invoke an Apex class also, right, from our Omni Studio. So that you can do by using the something called remote action, right? So in basically in the Angular one, it would be remote options. However, here it's remote action. So and if you can see clearly, right, it's mentioned call an Apex class over there, right? If you would have seen, right, call an Apex class, and this is really very important. Again, before, just a step back, team, right? So if you can see, right, you will be able to see a lot of this tips, right? Basically in help product tips kind of a thing, right? So the moment you'll click here, right, so you'll be able to see the entire summary of that, what exactly this does, right? And basically what are different input parameter you'll have to pass, like how it works overall, the summary or overall explanation, you will be able to get it from here, right? Sample code also, if you can see, right, they have shared. So this is really very important, right? Once you have this Velocity org installed, or basically once you have this available, you can always leverage this feature also to learn some of those stuff, right, rather than simply doing Google and all those stuff. So now I have added a remote action over here, right? And what I'll do under this remote action properties, right? I'm not changing the name because again, this is backend stuff. So you'll have to define the class over here, right? So under remote properties, right? Again, it's quite kind of this tip will show you basically what class you can incorporate over there, right? And if you can see, it's showing Velocity open interface class. So what exactly is open interface class, right? So before actually selecting the class, right, I'll tell you what exactly is open interface. So basically, open interface would allow you to kind of interact with Salesforce Apex class, right? So basically, open interface class comes up or reside inside your velocity managed package, right? The same as what we had, this is exposed and namespace, right? Capability, OmniScript based mixing. So similarly, velocity open interface class is kind of a callable interface, right? Which allow you to interact your managed package managed package Omni Studio OmniScript with the Apex class. So you need to give some prerequisite changes inside, or you need to make some prerequisite changes inside your Apex class, right, in order to make it work with Omni Studio. So let's take an example of simple class, right, which we have added it over here. So this is the class. So what I'll do, I'll simply basically first try to select this class over here. Okay. And again, this is not type ahead or anything. You'll have to remember the name. You'll have to copy paste it over here, because this is not type ahead or lookup kind of a thing where at the moment you'll start typing, it will give you the recommendation, right? What's the method over here, right? So for me, the method was this CPQ submit, right? So again, I'm not going to basically trigger this and to basically showcase like what exactly functionality this will do. But again, this is something with respect to communication and CPQ side, which it will do behind the scene. But the quite essential part or imperative part here is to understand that what exactly the additional changes you will have to make inside your Apex class in order to work with the OmniScript, right? So if you can see here, right? So generally when we're writing our class, right? So when we are declaring the access modifiers and other stuff, right? Global or public or private, whatever, right? We are mentioning the class name, and then basically simply then we are going into the rest of the stuff, right? Method and all those logic process. But here you have to use an additional part over here, right? Implement velocity underscore CMT underscore velocity open interface. This was the one which I was talking about, right? That would allow you to interact your OmniScript with the Apex class. CMT is the namespace of this velocity package. Since I am using the CMT or the communication package, right? So there's the reason my communication package namespace name is CMT, velocity underscore CMT. If I would have been using the insurance or health one, so this would have been the velocity underscore INS, right? So you'll have to consider that, right, when you're implementing this in your org. So this is really required. If you'll not use it, your Apex class, your OmniScript won't be able to instantiate or initialize your Apex class inside the OmniScript container, right? So you'll have to use it. This is pretty must. And again, one more topic point on this one, right? Once you are into this, so there are two kind of open interface. So one is open interface and another one is open interface 2. So let's say if you are planning to invoke a method, right, to return a Boolean, then for returning a Boolean, you will have to use interface. If you want to return, let's say an object, right? Let's say if you want to work on the Apex continuation or Apex schedule or queuable mode, right? Then you can use the open interface 2. So behind the scene, that's how it's being configured, right? And then important part here is you will have to basically pass some properties or parameters from your OmniScript, right? In order to allow that to be shared across this, shared with this Apex class. So what you'll have to do, obviously you'll have to basically understand the method name, right? So that method name was given by me here, right? And then if you want to use continuation, which I was talking about, Apex continuation, then you will have to use velocity open interface 2, else open interface would be fine. And I'm not using any pre-transformation, and if you'll have to do some transformation or pre-massaging or anything else, right? So you can use certain data raptors transform to do that, but I'm not going to use that, right? So now important part here is the remote options, right? What are remote options? So basically these are kind of a input parameter which you'll have to pass, right? So let's say if you want to pass something like account name or anything else over there, right? So you can always pass it from here, and that would be received using this invoke method, right? The input, you can receive your input, you can basically fetch your output, right? So there's a map for that. You can basically put up options. Options are nothing but the additional filter, right? So whatever would go into your where clause, right? Let's say if you're making a SQL query, and whatever would go into the where clause, that would be inside the options, or any other properties which you want to enable, right? That would go into option part, right? So again, this is how generally we can invoke, or we can basically pass some parameters to Apex class, right? We can get some output back from Apex class as a written value into our OmniScript, which can be displayed basically, which can be displayed either on the step or on the basically flex card or a custom LWC over here, right? So all those stuff can be done over here, team, right? So with that, I think, look, we have pretty much covered like how we can invoke a custom LWC, how we can invoke a reusable LWC, sorry, reusable Omnis script, and then how we can basically call an Apex class, right? And obviously there are certain prerequisites which needs to be made in order to allow that those external components to work with Omnis script. All right, I think with that, I'll just stop my screen share. Taranveer, can you share a screen, please? We can quickly cover the best practices. Yep, just here on this. All right, so again, team, so whatever we have discussed, right, whatever either Taran has covered or Rahul has covered as part of the demo or overview or capabilities, right? So this slide will give you kind of the overall summary, right, or the crux, like what exactly will OmnisKit provide, right? What are its key features and capabilities? So first one is declarative designer. We have shown you 2 times, right, throughout our hands-on exercise, that how easily you can drag and drop various elements, right, and create your guided flows over here. So this is really powerful feature, right? And behind the scene, all those calculations can be done, right, without using even a single line of code. Behind the scene, there are a lot of engines which runs, right, and those are internally microservices or Apex class only, which Velocity have created. But again, it's entirely on the declarative side. As a developer, you won't have to write any code if you'll have to configure guided flow. Obviously on need basis, you will have to write, right? If you have to embed a Apex class or LWC, right, then you need to do it, right? And then you can always like configure code to consume APIs, right? Basically to fetch the data from an external system or to post the data on an external system. So those also can be done without basically writing Apex class or any code. Next one is robust guided flows, right? And again, this is also one of the important, right? We have Taran has already basically mentioned or discussed like how it's different from the flows, right? So obviously, like it supports conditional logics for basically any viewing or editing the element, right? Let's say if you want to make conditional visibility over a field, right? That if value is this, then make this field visible, else make it hidden, right? So all those things you can do, right, based on the user personas, different your sales rep or its brokers or any other user personas, you can apply certain conditions and you can showcase a different version of stuffs on this guided flows. And again, it supports bunch of controls, condition logic, exceptions, document integrations as well, though we haven't covered document generation part, but it has capability of document integration as well. Then you can create the dynamic flows or dynamic interaction flows, right? As we mentioned, basically based on the different user personas, you can have those flows configured dynamically, right? So that is also another important aspect here. Then save for later feature, right, on any step. So basically what happened for save for later is like, let's say you want to create a 5-step Omnis script, right? You have created that, and as a customer, let's say, or as a sales rep, right, I'm using that Omnis script to feed some data over there, right? Now let's say after 3 step, I feel that I need to take a break, or I don't have the required information for 4th and 5th step, right? So what I can do, I click on save for later, and the save for later basically create an instance URL, and it will send it to your email ID. And then later, let's say after a day, or let's after a couple of hours, once you have that information, or once you're free, you want to resume your OmniScript again, so it will directly take you to the step where you have left your entire journey or entire basically OmniScript data entry, right? So this is one of the important factor. No coding here, right? So that's the key feature. Then next one is rich branding and styling, that we have already covered a lot of time right here while demo and while basically keeping the capabilities, right? So generally lightning flows, right, you really have very limited resources on the lightning Salesforce flows, right? From branding and styling perspective, here you can add a lot of stuff over there, right? Because it supports new port theme and lightning theme both, right? So let's say if you want to put up some certain logos or images over there, right, you can always do that. If you want to apply styling or style sheet over there, right, you can do it, and that would be really very fascinating or fancy. The next one is consume data from various sources, right? So OmniScript has capability to basically consume data from either data raptors or from integration procedure or Apex classes, LWC, that we have already seen, right? So it's really powerful from that particular perspective as well. Omni-channel deployment, again, this OmniScript, Lightning enabled OmniScript can be deployed on multiple channels or devices, right? Whether it's a community or any Salesforce Lightning page or custom LWC, if you want to expose it on the Salesforce mobile app even, right? That could be done. And again, the Omni Out feature, which we have already discussed, right? Through which you can basically expose that on the external website as well, right? And that is something behind the scene, it would use CMS, that is content management services, right, of Salesforce. And then we have certain additional features as well, like document generation and signature management, right? So we can generate a document, right, by using some of the data either in form of Microsoft Word or basically PPT, right? So we or sorry, PDF, not PPT, my bad. So you can add or create those, generate those document, right? And this also collaborates pretty well with DocuSign, right? So you can also enable some signature management capabilities over here. The next important aspect or important feature is multi-language, right? Again, generally what happens when you are working basically for a global reason, right? Then you will have to ensure that your OmniScript, right, or your guided flows supports basically interaction for multiple language as well, right? If you are in, let's say, Germany, it needs to support German. In UK, English, right? Spanish, Spain, Spanish. So all those things you can do, right, for a single OmniScript by using custom labels, right? So this is a very important feature. Then another one is Salesforce knowledge articles integration, right? So we have knowledge articles in Salesforce so that you can easily integrate with the OmniScript. You don't have to literally write any code over there. Whatever knowledge articles you want to publish, right, for your end users or for the internal reps, right, or for internal basically user personas, you can share it, create it, and you can integrate it with the OmniScript. The next one is FlexCard. Obviously we have talked about. Okay, one more thing, right? I think in one of the session we have covered that FlexCard will also create LWC component behind the scene, right? So when we are talking about custom LWC invocation or embedding inside the OmniScript, right? So FlexCard will be also the part of that LWC. So FlexCard also can be exposed or embed over the LWC. Now, reusable OmniScripts can be created. We have already covered. So again, needless to talk much about it. Next slide, Tanvir. All right, we'll quickly cover some of the best practices, right? So we have categorized these best practices in terms of usability, business process, or maybe UI or UX experience, and then performance factor. So when basically we're talking about usability, like obviously you'll have to try to achieve as much as possible by using the out of the box functionality wherever applicable, right? Try to reduce the number of elements, because obviously, so the moment you'll keep growing or keep increasing the element side, obviously it would create the basically it would have certain basically costs from the performance perspective as well, right? Because your entire JSON size would be like on a higher side, right? So you'll have to be very careful about the overall elements which you are using. Don't use the redundant or unnecessary elements over there. The naming convention also something very important over here, right? So you need to ensure that you are following the proper naming convention, right? Descriptive names or upper camel case, and then no spaces and all those things. And then activation or versioning of the OmniScript is something which you really need to keep a note, right, when you're working on this, right? Because we have already seen that when, let's say, if you're not activating the OmniScript, you won't be able to see LWC changes, right? So just make sure that these two parts are also being taken care when you are creating a OmniScript. Next one is business process and logic, right? So obviously you'll have to identify your reusable components, right? Obviously when we talk about Apex, right, we used to think about keeping the code modularized, keeping the basically some identifying the generic code so that we can use it inside the utility classes and reuse it across multiple Apex classes, right? So similarly here also we'll have to think about keeping the code in a reusable manner, right? And there are certain properties like internal notes which you need to fill so that if another developer is working on this, they can easily identify that what's the full purpose or intent of this OmniScript, right? And again, context ID is something which is a reserved keyword, right? So avoid using it for any other variable name, else there might be some issue, right, and conflicts. Then from user interface perspective, right, always, again, if you really want some rich user experience, go for Newport design system, right? There's a Lightning design system also, but you can always go for Newport as well, because that comes up with a lot of things behind the scene, right? A lot of customization, styling related stuff, which is not exactly there on the Lightning theme. again, and both the themes would work on for the OmniScript, right? Whether you're creating an Angular OmniScript uh, or the Lightning Web Component one. Then user experience perspective, there are a lot of design principle, right? Like obviously one we talked about, that you need to keep the fields on a minimal side, right? And think about pre-filling the field using contextual data. So basically, if you really want, there are certain basically steps, right, where you feel some of the field user might be filling would be generic, right? So you can use the pre-fill functionality of the OmniScript, and through that you can fill those data, and then basically again break the process using shorter steps, and that would really help you to basically keep it crisp, right? From the user perspective, because user really loves basically short blocks and short stuff, right? If you'll give them a user experience where there is a like huge vertical page, right, or huge horizontal page, then obviously it won't be the great user experience from their perspective, right? So just try to keep it crisp and short. The next one is performance factor, right? So there are a lot of things which you can basically do from performance from both client side as well as server side. So basically try to reduce or basically try to reduce the use of unnecessary views, conditional views, right, or merge field of formulas, because obviously formulas and unnecessary conditions would definitely hamper the overall performance as well, right? And try to basically trim up your JSON, because sometimes if you feel the JSON will become heavy, right, the entire JSON which we are talking about, right, so that would become heavy, right, if you are using a lot of fields or a lot of logic over there. So you also have basically provision to keep it trim, right, based on the need. Let's say if you only need some of the details from the inner node, right, or inner basically the array, right, let's say, or anything, so you can simply get those and use it across in your OmniScript, right? So you can always do that by using data after transform. And then remove spaces from elements name. Yes, that is very important, right? Rahul has covered, right? Don't use space while giving the element name, because that would be API name, right? And if you are giving space, that would go wrong from the performance perspective, right? OmniScript will take a lot of time to load those spaces elements name. Then try to reduce the number of elements in the OmniScript by 200. Again, this is one of the important aspect, right? If you'll keep it limited to 200, your OmniScript will work fine. But if it's more than that, right, again, it's recommended one. It doesn't mean that it won't work, but from there would be some basically you'll have to compromise from the performance perspective, right? So it's always advisable to keep it 200. The next one is server side, right? Obviously server side also a lot of things are there, right? If you want to perform some conditional logic, right, or some formula stuff or external data fetching, right, always go with integration procedure, use integration procedure over there rather than using Apex class or any other stuff, right? And then remove unnecessary data by trimming the data after extract output, we have already covered. Then reduce server round trips by using integration procedure, right? I know integration procedure I'm talking about here, so that I can just leave it for our next session, because integration procedure have that capability where you can combine multiple operations into one round trip, right? Let's say if you want to get the data from external system, you want to perform some DML, right? So you can literally get it done through one server round trip, right? It will really give you good basically bump up or boost your overall performance, right? So these are some of the important best practices, team. Like overall there are a lot of other things also which you need to consider, but if you follow this, right, so in terms of performance it would be really good, right? And your OmniScript work like a charm. So with that, I think we are at the closer of the session. I know like Taranveer and Rahul have been helping on in answering some of those questions, but Kishore, over to you if there are anything else.
Yep. And thank you so much, guys.